we just got a massive new Quest 3 update that comes with some long-awaited features, as well as some insane hardware releases for both the Quest headsets and the new Meta Ray-Bans. And we also have some big VR game news that you don't want to miss. So let's dive right into it. Now, Mark Zuckerberg has finally revealed one of the biggest upcoming Quest features during their Connect event that will completely change the way that you use your VR headset. For example, we got the announcement of an official Discord app coming to the Horizon store page. And while it was technically possible to use Discord through your Quest web browser, this option was far from perfect and often didn't have the functionality that you come to expect from it. So instead, with the official application, you will be able to keep Discord open while you're playing your VR games. Which gets us directly to another major change that is coming to your Quest. And that is that your Horizon OS web browser will be getting a range of new extensions that will include multiple VPN options and many others. And until now, the only extension that was available was the first-party PDF viewer from Meta themselves. So it seems that Zuckerberg is finally opening up their web browser to some more third-party software. Although, another major change got announced by the CTO of Meta, known as Andrew Bosworth, because he showed off a new iteration of their spatial UI navigation system. And if you somehow have missed it, Meta recently changed their UI to the so-called Navigator interface. Although, this caused Meta some big backlash from users, since the initial introduction of Navigator was far from perfect. And in response, Meta reverted it back to the original UI while adding in an option in the settings to switch to a different one if you would want to. And luckily, in the short preview that Bosworth was showing off, it seems that they have managed to streamline this overall look by a lot. But that gets us to the introduction of another big change, and that one is known as Horizon TV. Now this is going to be your new hub for anything when it comes to watching movies or your latest TV shows. Because while until now it was already possible to watch Netflix in your browser or to even download a separate app for Disney+, you will now be able to directly jump into all of these directly from within a single application. But what is by far the most unique addition to this is that thanks to Meta's direct partnership with other studios, you will be able to watch some select movies with some extra 3D special effects. But the update didn't stop there, because they also announced the release of their Meta Horizon Hyperscape. Now you might remember the demo app version of this, which allowed you to visit 6 near photorealistic scans of real-life environments. But now, you will be able to create your own scans of any location and then revisit them in virtual reality. But the coolest thing is that you will be able to share these environments with your friends, or even invite them over to visit them together. So I honestly can't wait to see what other crazy scans people can make with this. But next to all these software updates, we also had some big hardware news. For example, we got the release of a new Quest 3 accessory that finally fixes some of its main issues. Because until now, if you wanted to clean or switch out your interface, you would have to take out the entire unit, which often ended up for people breaking their headsets thanks to its fragile mechanism. So these new ones instead can magnetically attach to them so that you can simply swap them in and out whenever you want. But by far the best part is that you can also take out these silicone light blockers on the side to switch it to an open face mode or closed, depending on your own needs. But either way, it is definitely a cheaper alternative than buying each of these interfaces by itself. So I'll also leave a link for those in the description below. But Meta didn't stop there, because they also announced some brand new smart glasses. Now first up, we have the Ray-Ban Meta Generation 2. And although its looks are nearly identical to its predecessor, it now has better built-in cameras that can go up to 3K, while also rocking double the battery life on a single charge. And next up, we got the new Oakley Meta Vanguards that got some unique features into it that are specifically made for sports and exercises in mind. And that comes in the form of more wind-resistant mic arrays, to also a customizable action button and some higher water resistance. But by far, the biggest announcement was their Meta Ray-Ban display glasses. Because these are the first smart glasses in their lineup that have an actual screen built into it. And that means you can do anything from texting or going on a video call, as well as finding your way on maps, and so much more. But to be able to control these, you would need to use their neural wristband, which is already a technical marvel in itself. Because these can read the signals that go from your brain to your hand and then translate it into actions on your display. However, before we go to the crazy VR game news that you don't want to miss, let's first have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because none other than Cat VR, who are known for creating VR treadmills that look like they come straight out of Ready Player One, are once again taking virtual reality to the next level. Because while we are normally limited by the boundary system inside our VR experiences, it is Cat VR that has created these VR treadmills that let you run and jump without any limitation. And since their most recent version, which is known as the C2 Plus Enhanced, is compatible with every VR headset that you can think of, it is also often considered as the dream upgrade for any VR user. And they even go so far that it has things like haptic feedback built into it, as well as a vehicle hub, which will make it feel even more realistic when you're racing on a track or flying through the sky. And as a cherry on top, you can also use the code VRelity for a whopping $130 off on your entire purchase. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. And that gets us to the VR game news. And starting off, we have the latest entry known as Star Wars Beyond Victory, a mixed reality playset. Because this one is created by the same studios behind Vader Immortal and the highly popular game known as Tales of the Galaxy's Edge. But this one will be quite different since it will have both VR and mixed reality gameplay. And the experience itself will be split up into 3 different parts. Now the first one will drop you into the virtual reality environment where you'll be following through an immersive story from start to finish. And the second part will have you pod racing like Mario Kart, but then on a playing field that you can see from third person in front of you. And lastly, there's also a playset mode that will allow you to take digital figures and place them onto various sets in your room, while also adding in props such as guns and lightning, making this probably one of the most unique titles that you've played in quite some time. And next up, we have the co-op hit known as Dungeons of Eternity that is getting a major update and PC VR release. And if you don't know this one yet, Dungeons of Eternity is a fantasy action-adventure that will have you fight through randomly generated levels, with each one feeling distinctively different from the others. And now, they are adding in some new characters, weapons, and additional content, while also making it available for those Steam VR users. So if you haven't tried it out yet, then this is probably the best time to jump into it. And that also goes for the next hidden gem, which is known as Escape from X. Because this VR game is somehow entirely made by just 2 indie developers that wanted to create a realistic survival game for Quest. And while of course in it, you will definitely have to keep an eye on your food and hydration, they also added in some unique features like an immersive base building and some intense minigames like bomb defusals that will keep you on your toes. And like with all the other games in this video, I'll also leave some links with some big discounts in the description below. But while it is important to mention that this game is still in early access, I definitely look forward to see what else they're gonna create with this in the future. But some other shocking VR game news is that Nintendo revived the Virtual Boy and all the games that come with it. And yes, you heard that correctly. But luckily, there are also some open source apps like Virtual Boy Go, which could let you emulate these experiences on your Quest headset. So if you would like to see a step-by-step guide on this, let me know that in the comments below. But moving on, we have a new VR game release known as Cybrid. And this is probably best described as an arcade rhythm game that kind of feels like Pistol Whip, but then in a cyberpunk setting. Since here, you will be using your arsenal of weapons to clear through the enemy of cyborgs that you will find across the neon-lit city. And all of that while you listen to some fire tunes. But one downside though is that it does come with some bugs and glitches at the moment, so it might be worth waiting a bit until they have fixed this in some future updates. But that's not all, because there are also some must-play free PC VR games that you can get on your Quest headset. So click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out on that. And of course, stay awesome.